Hello Yu-Gi-Oh players and welcome to Yu-Gi-Oh! Business Casual. I'm your host, the RJB0. Today we have another challenger wishing to prove the honor of Galaxy Photon. Last time I got a lot of complaints that I used a really trap-heavy deck against them, which apparently they do very poorly against. So I decided to do a coin flip between Wind-Ups and Junk Doppel, and Wind-Ups won. So he opens by MSTing my set traps done, and going 1-for-1, discarding his Photon Dragon to summon a Photon Satellite from his deck, which is actually a pretty good move. I was actually really surprised at that. So he normal summons his Galaxy Knight, and uses its effect to summon the Galaxy-Eyes Photon Dragon from his graveyard, to which I Chain Rabbit using Factory to add Shark to hand. This is actually a pretty okay hand, despite the fact that I opened with Night Assailant, which there's a guy on my channel who is telling me not to run Night Assailant. I'm beginning to believe him. So he uses the Photon Satellite to overlay with his Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon into number 9 Dyson Sphere. So I draw for turn, special summon that rabbit, or not special summon, I return it to the field. That's a really important game mechanic difference. I use its effect, adding Shark to my hand to try and go for a Magician Shark play. He did MST my trap stun, which sucks pretty majorly, but I'm going to go for it anyway. Since he doesn't seem to have any response to any of the monsters I've summoned so far, I think I'm A-okay as far as trying to go for game here. So I go Magician Shark into Rat into Papilloperative, detach the Magician to shift the Rat to attack, use Rat to summon Magician from grave. Then I reveal the Shark from hand, activating its effect, and then I use Magician's effect to special summon a Rabbit from my deck. Yes, it's supposed to be in defense, but that doesn't really matter because I'm just going to banish the Magician with the Rat, or with the Rabbit, and then overlay the Rabbit into Leviair. Leviair will then summon Magician in attack position. That rhymed. Anyway, and then Shark's effect will add a level to itself, and Magician's effect will summon a Wind-Up Warrior from my deck. I use the Wind-Up Warrior to add a level to Magician, and then I overlay the Magician with the Shark for Volcasaurus, at which point he hits the Torrential button, and I have used up a lot of cards, but that move rid him of more cards than it lost me. So I get my Wind-Up Rabbit back, I draw into another Factory, which is just amazing, and I set my Night Assailant and pass turn. He sets a monster which I'm not entirely sure what it is he's setting. In retrospect, I probably should have thought about it a little more before I just started running into it, because it just turns out to be an Honest. And I end up losing some life points. But that doesn't matter a huge amount, because I decided to go for Rat into Warrior. Warrior uses its effect, targeting Rat, adding a level and 800 attack to Rat. And so they are both level 4. I decide to overlay for Black Ship of Corn, which he then compulsories, which sucks for a little bit, but then of course I have the Night Assailant to complete the cycle of destroying Honest. So I set the warning and allow him to go. He passes turn after setting 1, and I attack with Rabbit and then shift Night Assailant to defense. Probably should have done the latter part first, but whatever. He summons Photon Crusher and attacks the Night Assailant. Photon Crusher goes to defense position, and I draw for turn. In retrospect, probably should have MST'd that back row before I ran into him with the Wind-Up Rabbits, because it does turn out to be the Mirror Force, and it leaves me open for a turn. He shifts the Photon Crusher to attack, and decides to attack me directly with it for 2,000. I now have a grand total of 900 life points left, and I think I have the power to go for game. So what I do is I MST what turns out to be a Galaxy Expedition, and I am going to use a Rat play to put a Gaia Dragon the Thunder Charger on the board. That's my goal for this turn. So I summon the Shark in defense, use the Shark to summon Shark, overlay for 5 for a Shark Fortress. So I Sharked into Gaia Dragon the Thunder Charger, attack for 26, attack twice with Rabbit for game. So we go into siding. The game 1 was pretty close. It would have been a little less close if I had actually MST'd that Mirror Force. But in the end, it turned out that the game was actually pretty good. and I have nothing to side against him except for Light Imprisoning Mirrors. I think about siding in the Dichotomy, since I did use up my OTK strategy pretty darn quickly in that first duel. But I look at the rest of my deck, and I decide there isn't really a whole lot I want to side out against this particular matchup to side in that pot of Dichotomy. So I open with another Night Assailant. So this guy seems to be very right about the Night Assailant being a bad idea in this deck. But Night Assailant actually manages to put in some work both games, so I'm not actually that devastated about opening with him both games. So he MSTs my MST and go through Starliege Lord Galaxion, which I decide to bottomless instead of allowing him to get his Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from the deck. He ends his turn. I go Wind Up Factory, normal summon Rat. Main phase 2, I set a Trap Stun, and I pass turn to him. He uses Galaxy Zero to summon a Photon Crusher from his grave, then he normal summons Photon Crusher from his hand, and overlays for Starliege Lord Galaxion, which is a huge mouthful, let me tell you. He uses the Starliege Lord Galaxion, detaching both materials, to summon a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from his deck. He then decides to use Galaxy Expedition from his hand to special summon yet another Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from his deck. Now, this would seem like a really powerful move, but my biggest issue with the Photon Galaxy deck is basically everything in his deck is a 1-for-1 or a minus, and this is just a really prime example of it, which is he is putting all these big monsters on the board, but in order to be able to do anything really with them, he has to overlay them into another monster, which makes him end up going at a minus for it. You do have plus plays in the deck, like Starliege Lord Galaxion, but most of the time you have to make that by sacrificing 2 monsters. So I go Rabbit, banish itself to activate Factory's effect, and now I have Magician Shark Shark in my hand, and I decide to ask him if he has Maxi, Veiler, Gores, or Trag, or Battle Fader, or Swift Scarecrow, because if not, I basically have game at this point. So I go Magician Shark into Rat into Papal Operative, detach Magician to shift Rat into attack, use Rat, summon Magician, Magician summons Rabbit from deck, summon Shark from hand. Rabbit banishes Magician to summon, then overlays for Leviair, Leviair summons Magician, Shark activates Magician's effect, and then Magician summons another Shark to go for Volcasaurus, which I use its effect to destroy Starliege Lord Galaxion, and deal 2,000 points of damage, overlay for Gaia Dragon Thundercharger, attack for game. So that's the game. I hope you guys like it. If you did, hit that thumbs up button. If you didn't, let me know why in the comment section below. And of course, you are all encouraged to challenge me to another Photon Galaxy duel if you guys really want to see this deck succeed that much. Meanwhile, thank you guys for watching Yu-Gi-Oh! And Business Casual. I'm your host, the RJB0, and I got a jet. See you guys.